Welcome to another edition of the Creative Push. Today we have Laurie Soileau. She is a calligrapher. She loves to bake and grow plants and beautiful flowers in her backyard. And she's also a life coach. She likes to refer to herself as living artfully. And I thought she'd be a perfect guest. Welcome, Laurie. So tell us about your calligraphy.
As early as I can remember, I was sitting in church with the scripto pencil and note cards that my mom used to hand me with a roll of peppermints. And I would a capital letter and foliate it and curly cues and all that. But my dad bought me a packet of calligraphy felt tip markers when I was 10 or 12 and said, here, I think you might like these. And I just kind of shot up from there. I was a shy child, so I spent a lot of time just exploring nature. When I was married, I found a fellow locally in just in a newspaper article, and he turned out to be one of the last remaining what I would call master penmen. So there are people around the globe who've done classic letter forms. They also did contemporary lettering. So I went and studied with him, and then I joined a bunch of groups, some of which were international conference type groups, and would go to those and learn under some of the best of the best. I'll use anything from a stick to a shovel to brass pen nibs in proper wood carved handles. I use everything from ink to paint to mud to makeup, food coloring, you name it. I just see beauty everywhere and I like to play with it and explore. As far as the lettering actually goes, I'm so intrigued by language, by communication and the problems in it. I think it's fair to say most lettering artists would admit to having horrible handwriting, and often folks go into calligraphy or beautiful letter forms because of that. And so that's where it started for me, but I'm also a product of my ADHD brain. So I spent my lifetime growing up with eye rolls and sighs because people were annoyed by how I communicate verbally. So I really see the beauty and the power in communication and in language. I love foreign languages and accents. I also see that language and communication has the potential of the power to destroy, to break down communication, to break relationships. So I love to explore that in a visual way. Some of that is very intentional and some of it just kind of happens that way.
You were at one point a food stylist, is that correct?
I landed in a job in a test kitchen in which we edited a lot of recipes on paper, but we spent most of our time in the kitchen, not really playing with food as I like to, but learning the science part, the craft of getting it right and then communicating it clearly to the cookbook audience. So what I got to do after that was go into the studio and really play with the art plus the science of food. So in front of a camera, food has to look amazing and look enticing, but it needs to hold up for the camera. My undergrad degree in food science helped a tremendous amount because I knew kind of the chemistry of what makes food happen. What makes a lemon pie with a crumbly crust and a beautiful lofted meringue, what actually makes that happen. I was able to do that on a freelance basis when I moved to Nashville.
Do you see an intersection between calligraphy and food styling?
Absolutely. In fact, I see the core of creativity in everything. I believe everything was designed with a purpose, all of the universe. And to me, it's all bound together in order to thrive. My job as an artist is to speak order into chaos. So there's chaos all around us. And so there's part of that in everything I do. So cooking to life coaching and speaking form and order into someone's life so that they can thrive. Making let's say a cranberry orange scone out of a jumble of ingredients and playing with it, the journey of it, but then creating something that's not only visually inspiring, but also provides comfort and inspiration to the receiver, to the recipient. I carved out with a stand on the back excavator a couple of different terraces so that I could fill it with growing spaces, garden beds, vegetables, fruit trees, flowers, create a little quiet patio space so I could have my morning quiet time and reading and pray and meditate. It's just, to me, it's a thriving space. So for me to play in the soil and then to look up and feel the rain on my face and the wind in my hair and the birds singing, that creativity, that creation is so incredibly vibrant and joyful. Our purpose for living is not to just crawl on our belly and experience depression, as a lot of us creatives do, but it's also to experience the transcendence. And it's just screaming at us, I think, from all around us, from nature. The core of what I do in life coaching is to nurture thriving in other people and other things that's sustainable. So it works for people in the same way it works for gardening, for the earth. for me, and with my art supplies. Folks come to me, particularly adults with ADHD or adults on the autism spectrum, and life is problematic. We're all looking for meaning. We're all looking for belonging, purpose. Why am I here? What is this all about? Do I matter? Am I seen? Am I heard? So in one way, the art helps me kind of express that and tease that out for the recipient in the same way coaching does, in a very direct way. But I draw on my interest in neuroscience and in therapy and in thriving and healing to help other folks sort out why they're here, what's their purpose, and apply it in very practical ways. So I've got that Black sheep artist over here, this French side of my family and the German side of my family. I love spreadsheets and I love form and order and practicality, in a similar way that my dad designed rocket systems. I help people and I design flower gardens and calligraphic artworks.
And I know that you're working on a book. Can you tell me a little about your book?
Fortunately, I do have a publishing agent. She's working with me to fine tune it. For an artist like me, especially with ADHD, I'm a great sprinter. I love to pen essays just from an emotive place, the same way that I produce artwork, unplanned, but just, cathartically express whatever's going on inside. This is a marathon book. And because the focus is practicality, it's about helping others find their purpose and then apply it very simply in their everyday life. So it's more of a technical, kind of a right-brained book. It's called The Life Creed.
Define what creativity is to you as a whole.
To me, it's not only an expression, but an absorption. We are created, designed, each one of us uniquely and designed that way. So I'm responding to that relationship, love, mercy, justice. I'm also called to be a co-creator. That is an exploration that comes outside of me and is absorbed into me in terms of inspiration. So I'm just putting out my unique take on things. All of that's creativity. It really is more the journey. I don't have to produce something that's saleable. I don't have to produce work that's publishable. I'm learning to push away that sense of ought and should and those expectations that I think culture pushes on us.
How much of yourself is in the things that you create?
Artwork, in terms of what we'd formally call visual art on a canvas, a sculpture in wood. I've never been able to plan a piece. I might have a theme in mind, but in order to be free to really create something, I think that's true to me, authentic to me, and maybe even inspiring to others, it has to be cathartic, just raw, emotional, cathartic. I crank up the music and I just try to free up my muscles, my fingers, and my words, and just let it go. I've been a journaler most of my life, having difficulties in communicating what was in here and in my heart to other folks in a way they could really follow. I journal, so I get a lot of gut reactions to life out, get a lot of emotions out on paper. Many of those journals I have burned in a wonderful fire pit event with some ladies around, and that was a good thing. That was cathartic in and of itself. But now I keep a large sketchbook that's kind of a journal, but also, a scribble book for ideas for artwork. I love to write essays on my take on life, short essays, and then I write a few practical things as a life coach to help others.
What motivates you?
It's a sensus mundi ad deum. I love other languages. I guess I like Latin now. And that means a climbing up of the heart to God. I think every human being on the planet has this insatiable hunger, this insatiable need for a relationship, belonging, togetherness, connectedness, wholeness. And we're looking outside ourselves because we don't actually have it inside ourselves. So it's that seeking that really inspires me. The good and the true and the beautiful, those are the irreducible concepts in life. And so kind of all of my creating kind of comes back to those cores. I'm most often inspired by communication problems and language. My heart beats fastest when I see Trajan Roman capital letters, gorgeous uncials in black ink spattered over cold press, really rough watercolor paper. And you can see it in my eyes now. I start to drool and I get really, really excited. Part of that is because it's order, its form, an otherwise chaotic existence in the world. But part of it is because I have such trouble communicating that I love to see other people's effort to communicate. Part of that's written language. Part of that's this, right? The verbals. Some of it's music and how we sing. Those things just really get me going.
Do you get stuck?
Oh my gosh, yes.
What do you do when you get stuck?
Brood, weep, crawl on my belly, like a lot of creatives do. I have spent some time in depression and just kind of paralysis. But there are a few things that get me going. Music and dance, especially if there's a heavy drum beat. Native African or Hispanic Latino drum lines, they get my body moving. And if my body's moving, my brain and my heart start moving. That's the quality of my ADHD brain. Anything that really entices my senses, sometimes it's fragrance, textures. I can stick my hands in the soil and play with rocks for a couple hours, and somehow that will inspire me. I did just read The Art of Fear. What a brilliant little book to help us get past those moments of being stuck. And the one thing that really stuck with me from that is go through the motions, learn that thing that works for you and just keep doing it. Go downstairs to the basement, set up your supplies, turn on that piece of music that you love, turn the lights a way that you love them, pick up the paintbrush or the calligraphy pen, put a mark down, and somehow that sort of invites the inspiration. And I think it really has worked for me. I'm surprised that it can be so simple.
Do you have any odd or strange collections?
I collect quotes, beautiful words, languages. I speak a good bit of French, a little Italian, a good bit of Spanish, and some Scots Gaelic and Italian. I collect languages. The way other people phrase things beautifully, the economy of language that I don't have, I collect those succinct little poetic phrases that inspire.
Are there any things that you haven't learned yet that you'd like to learn?
Business skills, the confidence of actually putting myself out there and selling my work. I may never really get those under my skin. It's a continuous seeking for me. I think more people now than ever have actually gone back outside and returned to nature and kind of surpassed the way civilization has been going and the worldview that particularly our country has been kind of promoting. We're kind of returning to that slowness of life that I enjoy and have gotten outside, but more. Get outside, roll around in the grass, go barefoot, walk in the rain, do smell the flowers, look at them, observe, appreciate and enjoy what's there. Not so much for the purpose of then being able to go in and create something you can sell, but just because this is life. And that's part of why we're here, to thrive and enjoy it.
Has COVID changed your thinking in any way?
If I'm honest, for about 5 or 6 years, I just left social media. I just felt in my heart, this is not the way that I need to be spending my time. There's so much more here to life. The relationships, we're going too fast. We have too much pushed on us. This is too much to handle. And none of the social media coming at me was meaningful to my own worldview, my own sense of being and purpose and values. So I slowed down, have been really seeking those things that I think are meaningful. And look what the world seems to be talking about in COVID. Slow down, go outside, turn off the gadgets, enjoy the relationships. Somehow, I guess I feel vindicated.
Do you have any creative advice for others?
Go easy on yourself. Be gentle with yourself. And I'm speaking to myself. We're such a productivity-oriented society. Go easy on yourself and enjoy the being, enjoy the existence as much as you can.
Do you have any advice to someone who might be wanting to pick up calligraphy?
Yes, burn your nibs. You go to the art store and you have no idea what you're looking at. You buy some felt tip calligraphy markers. The next thing you want is these little brass nibs and sticks that are actually pen holders. So you stick the nib in the pen holder and you try to write and it looks like crap. And it's not you. It's because those beautiful little brass calligraphy nibs come with a coating on them. And if you don't know to burn off that coating in a flame and then stick it in water to dissolve all that coating, you're never going to be able to write beautifully. It's very simple, but it makes all the difference in the world at step one.
So you also have an Etsy store.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that and what you have in that Etsy store outside of just calligraphy?
It started out as a platform for selling woodwork. So my husband and I turn hardwood into vases, flower vases. So we started finding beautiful hardwoods and carving out these beautiful bed vases with like a little glass reservoir. So we sell those. Some of my lettering work is there. I have some Christmas cards that were printed with the lettering. And then I've added a few bits of artwork. It's kind of an exploration.
Where can people find your work?
I have a website and it's bloomlifecoach.com.
Well, thanks so much for being our guest on The Creative Push and for sharing your art and your story and what you do.
Thank you, Sherry. It's been a lot of fun. And I just so appreciate you and your vibrance. You're an inspirer yourself.